Hello, beautiful community. Putin's speech, and we're going to play a somewhat tongue-in-cheek game that'll be both illuminating but also save us a lot of time. I'm going to give us the Putin quotes, but then I'm going to give a pithy, tongue-in-cheek, stylized translation of the quote out of Putinese into something that makes sense to us. So let's go. And I've written this out as a thread on Twitter, which those of you who swim around in those social media waters can read there. Putin's double-think speech carried the message, the war is everything and there is no war. Here are my stylized translations from Putinese. Putin. When the special military operation began, it was supported by an absolute majority of the Russian people. Despite the bitterness of our losses, people have remained unyielding in their support. Translation: the appearance of unanimity is increasingly important to me, says Putin. With time, the regime will move toward demanding the appearance of unanimity rather than the appearance of a majority that's with them. And anything that's a remainder that's left outside of a unanimity will need to be squeezed out. Putin, our political system is a pillar of our sovereignty. We will continue to further develop our democratic institutions. For now, translation goes, I need elections as a legitimating tool. Will I need them 6 years from now? We don't know. Putin, nobody will be permitted to interfere in our internal affairs. Translation, I just did what the world witnessed to Mr. Navalny, who I see as a prop deployed by the West to overthrow me. Putin, the West needs, instead of Russia, a dependent, fading, expiring space where they can do what they want. Translation, all challenges to my rule are a Western power grab on Russian soil. Putin, it wasn't us who started this war in the Donbass, but we'll do everything to finish it. Translation, this war is defensive. It's a defensive and existential struggle against the West. So this is not a made-up story. Putin genuinely believes this is a defensive war for him, which is disturbing. Putin. Russia is ready to dialogue with the United States on questions of strategic stability. But the United States wants to discuss questions of strategic stability while trying to deliver Russia, as they themselves call it, a strategic defeat on the field of battle. Translation, I'm happy to discuss strategic stability if all of you guys stop supporting Ukraine. Putin. Now, without a hint of embarrassment, they declare that Russia allegedly intends to attack Europe. They are, as we all understand, talking nonsense. Translation, today I have no concrete plans to challenge Article 5. Putin, and this is literally the next sentence in the speech. They've started talking about the possibility of sending NATO military units to Ukraine. We remember what happened to those who once sent their military units to the territory of our country. He is referring to the Second World War. But the difference is that now the consequences for any intervener will be so much more tragic. Translation, nuclear blackmail is a central tool of my diplomacy. And notice that Putin is saying, look at how silly the West is to think that we're threatening it. Sentence 1. Sentence 2, we're going to nuke the West. We will do that if things escalate, so be afraid. Without a resilient sovereign Russia, Putin says, no global order is possible. Translation, what matters most is that I'm in power. Putin. A big multi-child family must become the norm, the philosophy of our social life, and a goal for the entire strategic vision of our state. Translation: I need your baby so I can wage war. Putin. And this is something he said many, many times. Across the horizon of the next 6 years, we must achieve X, Y, Z. ABC, something else, something else. Translation of these expressions: it'd be nice to be immortal, so I could be in power, not just in 6, but in 26 years. Putin. Participants in a special military operation should take up leading positions in the system of education and the upbringing of youth. They should lead regions, lead enterprises, and ultimately lead the largest projects in our homeland. Translation: I really don't like this idea. I really don't want soldiers returning from the war to form the new elite, but this is a populist card I need to play. Putin. The word elite has largely discredited itself. Those who, without any merit to society, consider themselves some kind of caste with special rights and privileges, especially those who in previous years filled their pockets through all sorts of processes in the economy in the 90s, are definitely not the elite. I repeat, the true and real elite is everyone who serves Russia. So he's not just taken Navalny's life, but is now borrowing some of Navalny's political messaging. Translation: this is a populist card that I'm playing today that will become a more substantial politics later, an obscurantist politics. Now, everything I've just said to you was only 30% of the speech. The rest of the speech was managerial speak about domestic politics with endless magical promises to various groups. And this contrast between the 30% and the 70% gave the speech this double-minded quality, this oscillation between the war is everything and there is no war, and we are in managerial speak talking about how our economy is doing and how this group could be given some extra support. Now, this oscillation between the war being everything and the war not being real is this balance we always talk about between politicization and depoliticization. We're going to see more and more of it in the run-up to the election. And after the election, I predict that little by little, the story that the war is everything will come to dominate, in relative terms at least, the story which says that the war is not real. It's great to be with you after a few days of absence due to challenging health. Healthful wishes to you all. Send my love and talk very soon.